Okay, hey there, everybody. Looks like this is on. So yeah, back into the normal stuff. So this is probably going to be my last Manor Lord stream until it has some major progress, or maybe even until it comes out. Um, what I'm going to be doing today is doing a start that I think represents the best way to play this game. And that is, again, this one. The reason that I dislike this one is because of the just random raiders that come in, which is fine up to a point. When you're doing your first town and you've got all your defenses sort of concentrated there and it's literally physically possible to actually stop the raiders, that's fine. This works okay. Once you reach the point where you just want to build your city because you've already beaten the game, the raiders coming in and having that sort of issue where they'll pop in directly on top of your buildings and you're not allowed to do anything about it, absolute bullshit. Completely nonsense. The other thing is there's nothing really that interesting about the AI like Baron in the combat with him. It's been pretty simple every single time I've played against him. Maybe if I was a little bit less cautious of a person and used a smaller army where I was outnumbered by him and had to have that sort of tactical challenge. But this game doesn't really give you good tools for that, and AI is janky as hell, so usually it just comes down to him charging with like one unit at a time, you killing it, and then going after the other ones. This one runs into a similar problem, but a little bit more extreme to restoring the peace, in that a lot of what you're doing is sort of exploity stuff. So we're going to try this one. We're just going to see how this sort of goes. I don't necessarily think that this one is one where playing on the higher difficulty really changes anything though either. So hard to really say as far as that goes. I'm also not really sure why there's even a goal for this particular type of gameplay regardless. I think that pretty clearly, if you're setting it to Rise to Prosperity, what you're trying to do is just play the game and have a town. Now, unlike the other difficulty starts, this is the one where I would say that starting with farms is probably fine. And you could re-roll until you get that. I'm going to potentially re-roll if we start with a really awkward start. Ones that start with Plentiful Stone I tend to dislike. But we're on a low enough difficulty that I could probably just get by without having to worry about that. Yeah, so this would be completely irrelevant as far as our starts go. So we have no resources that we actually want to use. What we would want is potentially to be down here somewhere. There's also these provinces down here. What's interesting is that we don't actually see these ones being locked out, which is kind of interesting. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick reroll here. Let's go ahead and main menu. So today going to be a slightly shorter stream, still recovering a little bit after the Saturday thing, which I had fun doing. But yeah, it did take me over 20 hours to complete that game. Regardless, though, okay. Let's see here. This has got farmland and it's got animals, so this will be fine. This will be an okay sort of settlement. I do think that to a certain extent, the way that they've designed this game does provide definitive solutions, which I don't necessarily think is the best. But it's also not that bad either. There's some variety in terms of how you can build stuff. There's not enough building types, I guess, to make it so that there's a ton of different ways that you can decide to build your town. And the ticking mechanic for approval, the way that it works, also sort of locks you in during the very early game. In a way that I don't necessarily think is that good, but it's not the worst either. Okay, so we'll drop our hitching post over here as well. It's going to be a little bit awkward trying to find a good way to get our farm set up here, because we've kind of got our best farmland down in this strip here as far as volume goes. Oh, God. Getting absolutely spam called with trash calls. All right. Either way, let's get this started here, I guess, and just see how things go. Yep. Like, it feels like you're constantly sort of on these sort of narrow rails as to what your village should be doing at any given moment in time. Which I think they could modify that so you've got more freedom as to what sort of town you're building. I think that would actually be something that would be beneficial to the game, but who's to say? Build a road down to here first. Got that creaky windowsill again. It's that temperature. We're at about 15 degrees Celsius here. Which, that's fun. Got both the berries and the other stuff, like, in the same spot, so that's actually kind of useful. Get this hitching post built, and then we'll start buying another ox, make all of our construction way faster. The only shame about that is that it does cost us quite a lot of money. Okay. Go ahead and grab that, and I do need to get a marketplace. Where should we put this? Where do we want our market for this place? I'm thinking here. And then we'll put our granary right next to it, and then we can have some like production stuff next to it as well. I think this is a good spot. We'll build our houses up to here. I've once again got the problem of I can't see my hunting camp. That's fine. It's not really fine, but whatever. Okay. Yeah, we got both of our ox now. That'll make our construction go a lot smoother. It makes that our soffit will actually work, because if you don't have a second ox, your soffit basically is screwed. Alright. Next building is going to be huts, tannery. Okay, I don't want to put that there necessarily. I might want to put some of our industry down this way. I think we're going to do some spacing here. Let's go ahead and get our storehouse down first. That way we've got the ability to put our tannery down over here. Or we could even put this like down here potentially. But I'm trying to not uproot all trees that we don't need to, although admittedly it doesn't really matter down here. Put down our granary. I think it is better to put this by the storehouse. There. So got one poor family who's got to do all that work there. They've got 7 timber, so I do need more. It's interesting that they'll still spawn the mercenary companies, because I can't use them for anything. One thing that's going to be interesting is they're adding like a tax, and I'm not sure if that's been added yet, but you have to sort of pay a tax every year to the king. And since they've gotten rid of one of the biggest sources of money, which is the raider camps, there's probably going to be a much harder time getting access to that. Okay, well, we've got all of our goods being exposed to the weather, so that's not ideal. We're up to that much. Let's go ahead and move one of you over here, out and one out here. Just gonna get this stuff put into the storehouse for now. That'll help with a little bit later. And we could probably start building some houses pretty soon here. Am I just allowed to put this anywhere? I forget. Nope, this mode I do have to put it in the right spot. Okay. I'll put it here, which is going to get in the way of some of the houses, but I think that should be okay. It'll have it sort of like in between the cottages or whatever. Try and make it look natural. You can kind of go like this. Okay, just gonna go ahead and chuck someone in here for a short period of time to get all the remaining food put into that building. This is all... yeah, we lost some of our supplies, it's fine. Okay, our planks is that enough. Let's go ahead and switch that out. Let's go ahead and build you. That's a good enough spot. Getting this to loop across here the way I want it to is kind of annoying. There we go. Okay, I think all of our bread is in there now, so that's fine. And we have enough timber for the time being, so we can turn that off too. And then we can go ahead and get our next 3 houses. We can do 4, that's fine. Alright. So once again, start of yet another town. Most basic of stuff here. I feel like I've done this a little bit slower than I should have, but I think we're close enough to fine. The weird way of this game is that you're supposed to get all your like commodities buildings built before you're supposed to get the stupid like houses done. I think that's actually kind of insane. I think that should be the other way around. I think that, you know, unhappiness for not having like the burgage plots done. Although I guess they have got the tents or something like that, but it's weird that they're okay with like not having all these amenities when they're living in tents, but as soon as they live in a house, they get really unhappy for not having that stuff. It's weird to me. Okay. Get that done. That'll be good for now. That's all we really need for the time being. Yeah, because it's that homelessness penalty that sort of like stacks up over time. That sort of like is kind of just fine to have because it's only like one penalty instead of all the penalties that you get for all the other ones. It's kind of weird. Do kind of think that should work in a different way to that. I need to get another person to work in the granary and in the storehouse, but that's fine. We'll be okay until later. Yeah, got people working in the right spots here for the time being. It's okay. I think it's too late for a harvest of that stuff. It went okay. It took me 20 hours to beat, which is, you know, a fairly long time. I did like it. I think that the way they divided up the game to me is a little bit weird. Because the way they divided it up, like, the first chapter is very, very short, and then you've got, like, a couple other ones that are sort of spaced nicely. And then the final chapter, like, the last one took, I think, 10 hours by itself. So a bit weird as far as the pacing goes. Especially because I was like, oh yeah, this will be a nice short one. They've only got like 1 day's worth of investigation. Then they're like, no, it's gonna take like 3 days worth of investigation. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, it went well though. Yeah, I like those games. I do think that they're good. I do think that there are some like things about them that are kind of irritating, but in spite of that, I still do like them. I'm gonna definitely play the last one in the trilogy, and then after that, I'll see if there's other ones in the series that I don't know what are. There's a ton of Ace Attorney games. It's just they're not all Phoenix Wright ones. I don't know what they're about though, or how that goes along. Okay, how come we're not getting any new people here? Come on, give me some new people. It'll come along soon enough. Ugh, jeez. But, yeah, I think that for the most part, not playing them, like, a ton is probably good as well, because they're pretty repetitive in a certain way there, like the Phoenix Wright games. They sort of follow formulas. There was one case where I didn't figure out who the murderer was, like, fairly early on. Usually they make it pretty obvious. But the reason I didn't figure it out was because, like, the actual person who was the murderer, you don't meet them until, like, the very, very end. So it's like, okay, well, a little bit hard to figure out who the murderer is if you aren't given, like, a clue as to who the person that is the murderer is, so... Yeah, they're ones that are definitely worth trying. I think there's a lot of like little frustrating moments there, but you know, I think that's the case for a lot of games anyhow, so it's not a huge deal. Okay, I want to get this Burgage plot constructed. I don't know why they're not finishing it. Because we have a builder now. Alright, well, whatever. Let's just do this for the time being, and then we'll swap them. This might be because the people in this building are like really busy right now, so they're just not doing that. Could also be a bug. This has happened before where like someone was supposed to go in here and like fix this building up and then they just don't and I have to reset the game or something like that, or something happens that stops this from working. Nope, there we go, finally. Wonder what the heck that was. Alright, let's get that upgraded. My biggest problem with the Phoenix Wright games is still, like, there are moments where I know what I'm supposed to be saying. It's just, like, there's 3 different dialogue options where it's, like, all of them are saying sort of the same thing. And I can't tell which of the 3 things that it's trying to get me to say it at, like, which point in the dialogue tree I'm supposed to be saying it. Drives me a little bit nuts when those moments happen, because there's nothing I can really do about it. Okay, let's get trade posts. Wait, is this not a King's Road? What's going on here? Does this not count for some reason? Interesting. Surprisingly enough, like the other thing about the one where I couldn't like guess the person who was the murderer is because usually like the murderer is the most extravagantly designed character, which is kind of a bad habit on the design team's part, I guess, where they'll make some character like have a lot more interesting features to them, and that character is always the murderer. Makes it a little bit predictable. But yeah, the one where I didn't predict who the murderer was because partly partly because the person who was the murderer was not the most elaborately designed character. It was a very big surprise for me. It's just like, wow, this person actually did it, and they're kind of plain looking. And there was another character that was extremely elaborately designed who was not guilty, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? Game's cheating. Okay, why is this like this? I guess it's because there's a slight incline on this thing. Classic anime styling trope. Yeah, that's the, like, it's part of the thing is, it's hard to not do it that way for them, I think, because if you're going to have, like, all these characters with all these interesting designs, it takes a lot longer and a lot more time and effort, so the person you inevitably put, like, all the time and effort on is the person who's going to have that interesting freakout. They also still have not gotten past the idea that, like, sometimes the murderer, you don't have to make the murderer be the witness. You can make it so that, like, the murderer is someone who is not a witness to the crime. It's a little bit cliche at this point. Yeah, it feels like they have to do that, though, because, like, how else would you interact with the murderer, given the context of the game? You know, there's not really another way to have you interact with them. Okay, how are we doing for different things here? I think we're doing kind of okay in a lot of ways. Still, though, let's go ahead and get another hunter. Where did I put that shack? There we go. That'll keep us fed throughout the season there a little bit better, and I'm going to go ahead and chuck someone in the granary and the storehouse. Yeah. There are certain things that they could do for Phoenix Wright to make it a little bit more realistic, but I think it would probably actually make it a worse game, so probably ignore me. Don't listen to what I'm saying. But, yeah, I'm going to be playing this game, I think, for... This is probably going to be the last stream for Manor Lords until there's a major update that, like, finishes out a bunch of stuff there. After that, after this game, I'm probably actually going to be playing Persona. That's what I feel like playing afterwards. Persona 5 Royal. I could get Persona 3, but I kind of, I don't know. I'll probably play both at some point, but... For now, I'm not sure I want to do too much more growing for this season here, the year, just because I don't have, like, a ton of food stored up. Like, if you double your population, you, like, have the amount of food functionally. It looks like we'd be okay, I think, actually. And we do have 3 more population coming in already, so... Alright. Let's get started on these, I think. I forgot. I should actually be doing the farm upgrades. I need this one and I need this one. Technically, I don't need that since I've never seen a drought. Apparently, this is twice as efficient as the regular, but I don't know if we need that. You're dodging Persona 3 until Metaphor comes out? That's fair. Personally speaking, like, I've never been someone who cares too much about doing things in order, so I'm not going to really bother thinking about that sort of thing. And I've already played 3, like, 3 times. I've played Persona 3 on release, I played Fez, and I played Portable. So, I mean, it's not like they could spoil me on anything on Persona 3 at this point in time. Okay, we'll do that there. And I do think I need to have a little bit more stuff out of the saw pit, so let's get that going. Yeah, Persona 5 was really good. I haven't played Royal yet, so we'll have to see how that goes. I'm not too sure what changed, but it looks like quite a bit, which is kind of interesting. Okay, so I have to take this one, even though it's not going to be useful for a while. Then we have to take fertilization, which I think is, you know, important for us. It's interesting that they didn't do a remake of Persona 4 instead of Persona 3. Oh, well, actually, no, it's kind of a mixed thing, because Persona 4 was a much, much, much better game in a lot of ways compared to Persona 3. Um, so I guess that's why it needed the... You don't want to spend 300 hours and be like, nah, I'm good later in the year. Yeah, these games are pretty time consuming, and yeah, you end up in a situation where you might not want to play more of them. I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. For me, like, I actually don't play like a ton of them all the time. Like, I would burn out of them if I played all 3 of them in a year or something like that. But yeah, what was I talking? Oh yeah, like I think Persona 4 was a much better game than 3, so I guess that's why they did a remake of 3 first, because it needed it more. But yeah, I think a lot of people would have been kind of happier with the remake of 4 over 3. It's hard to say. I don't know. I think 3 was like kind of popular, but I don't think it was like really popular compared to a lot of the other or the newer Persona games. Okay, we got enough planks here. I can get you off that. I can go ahead and get a cobbler. Well, I first played Persona 4 on console. I played actually all of them on console. I actually also played Golden on the Vita. So I've played like that one twice as well. Strangely enough, I don't think Golden changed quite as much as I don't feel like Golden changed as much as Persona 3 Fez did, but it's hard to remember off the top of my head. It's been a while since I played these. Okay, do I have that weird bug with animals right now? Looks like no. Good. Because I hated that bug. Alright. So we're still doing fine on food. We're not going down at all at the very least. I am worried that we're going to run out of berries pretty soon, but that should be okay. Alright, so you guys... go ahead and start selling berries. Gonna go down to 40 for now. Because we just want a little tiny bit of money off of this right now. We are at capped housing right now. But yeah, they'll jumpstart our economy enough that we can start doing and selling some other things that are probably better for this. It's kind of interesting, actually, because, like, each of the Persona games has enough of its own personality that you end up in a situation where I think that each of them has strengths and weaknesses compared to the others. I actually don't think that Persona 5 is just the best of the Persona games. There's parts of, like, Persona 3 that I think are done better than Persona 4, and there's parts of Persona 4 that I think are done better than Persona 5, but, like, overall, Persona 5 is definitely like the strongest as a whole package, and Persona 4 is, I think, stronger as a whole than Persona 3, but there's interesting little bits of each of them that I like better than the newer ones. It's kind of interesting. Okay, are you starting to grow? Yes. Okay, let's chuck someone in here soon. I can probably do this, and I can probably stop having someone do stone, because I probably don't need stone anymore. Okay, admin, manor. I don't really know where to put these things ever. Because theoretically, they're supposed to be like the center of your town and everything. Well, actually, maybe the church is supposed to be the center of your town. I'm not sure exactly which in this context, but to a certain extent, it is one of the more important buildings. I think I'll put it here. So this realistically is just for me to get taxes. Let's see here. We haven't gotten much money yet, but we have gotten enough. This is going to be a bit late. I don't think I'm going to get much out of that particular planting. I should probably start putting some more housing down this side. Because the people that'll be in these houses will be doing the work down this side. Is that the first one from the Persona team? Because my understanding was a lot of them were sort of involved in a lot of their projects. I guess, like, the specific... Yeah, that sort of would be true. It's not like the people in, like, that particular team were not involved in, like, other RPGs by Atlas, because they've made quite a few. I'm not sure, like, how much overlap is between the teams, so it's not like I think that they are only Persona developers, but... Yeah, that has been sort of their bread and butter for a little while now, I guess. Personally, though, I think there is kind of a reason why, like, the Persona series is so beloved compared to, like, a lot of their other titles. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go in to try and, like, keep it similar enough that the audience wants it, but also differentiate it, or if they're just going to completely differentiate it. I'm not sure what they're going to do as far as that goes. Okay. Should probably just wait till they get this building done here. I guess one of the reasons why, as well, they would probably want to do something like Metaphor is because if you sort of look at the JRPG scene these days, there's really nothing that is fantasy anymore. It's like all contemporary. It's kind of weird. Okay, that is a lot of money I'm getting. That kind of tells me that we're trading away a lot of our berries. I should probably tell them to stop. Yeah, I'm going to go to no trade all of a sudden. Okay. We're up to 170. That's good enough for now. I would rather have enough berries to eat so that we're not screwed there. Policies unlocked in Goldhoff. I can't remember if I can activate, deactivate these. I should check. Let's do a save here. Like, even Final Fantasy, it feels like, for the last little while, has been almost, like, more contemporary than they've been, like, fantasy. Which is kind of crazy in a way, but, like... Yeah, I can toggle that on enough. Okay, so we keep that on until we get our farm started. Oops, why did I let these guys call us down to that number? I usually get, like, hovering around closer to 20. Forger hut. Let's just max it out here. I could probably also put more people in the granary. But, like, the existing, like, JRPG series that people are actually playing, it's like... You've got, basically, Persona, you've got, like, Yakuza. That kind of feels like mostly it. Like, the Final Fantasy games, I think, are just remakes right now. When's the last time they made a new Final Fantasy game? I can't remember. Doesn't feel like that's what they've been doing. Okay, let's turn on our taxes. Let's just put you on like 4% here or something like that. Very low number. I guess, like, they're still making Atelier series games. Those are fantasy. But those are almost more like slice of life than they are JRPG. They're kind of a weird series. How is this empty? What's going on here? That might actually be these guys. But Final Fantasy 16 was more contemporary, though, wasn't it? I don't think it was a fantasy, was it? Final Fantasy is always, well, since, like, what? Like 6 or something like that, has always kind of been a blend of, like, fantasy, sci-fi. So they've never been, like, a pure fantasy series anyway, but, like... Well, I mean, maybe the first one was. I can't really remember. Okay, let's, check our numbers here. I think we'll be okay trading out another decent number of berries, but I don't want to end up in the same situation where I've sold all the food again. Nope, other direction, this way. We'll keep 100 berries this time. It was definitely fantasy? Fair enough, okay. I didn't end up playing it because I was kind of confused as to what it was. Just in the sense of it looked more like a Devil May Cry game. In a real sense, they have been leaning away, period, from like, just flat out leaning away from doing RPGs to begin with, but that's kind of fine. Like, you know, blending outwards is fine. Still does feel a little bit weird to me that that's how they're sort of going about things. Let's see here. I need to do 5 total of these guys. It's 4 of them. Let's do these guys next. Yeah, which is it's weird that I didn't feel very excited about it, because I do like Devil May Cry, actually. The heck are you guys complaining about here? What's going on? Is it because you don't have enough food variety right now? No, they're okay now. Okay. Weird. Alright. I'll hopefully start getting money again. Honestly speaking, like, I guess the reason I didn't is because I haven't really liked the Final Fantasy series games pretty much ever. The only one I really like, the only Final Fantasy games that I really like are Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy IX. And those ones feel very different from a lot of the other Final Fantasy games. A lot of them I just kind of find are not that good. But that's like a personal subjective thing. That's not like I think they're bad games or anything. It's just, you know... You wouldn't highly recommend it? That's fair. To me, like, it feels like the one that I would probably most try, because usually I like Final Fantasy games best when they're not trying to be Final Fantasy. Which is weird, but that's kind of how I feel about them. Okay, something like that maybe. Yeah, it's been quite a while since I've really dug my feet into a fantasy RPG series. I'm gonna do like this, I think. I guess the other, like, major RPG series is actually Pokemon, and it's always been a sort of, like, modern contemporary setting. Now that I think about it. Like, when I think major, like, Japanese RPGs, like, I don't immediately think about Pokemon, but that's what it is. It almost feels like a genre unto its own in a certain way, but... New mercenary companies, doesn't matter, because we're not doing that. Okay, Can't tell if these people are going to actually like harvest any of this stuff or if they're just going to leave it there to rot like they usually do. I've had like not the best luck with getting these people to actually harvest the crops out of their burgage plots. And I think it has to do with like if they've got another job and that job is like taking up all their time and stuff like that, they don't go back to do this stuff. So what you kind of want to do, I suppose, is try and unemploy them by like getting other people to go down here and do this stuff. I guess. It seems like that would work. I have no idea. Alright, I think we're down to just a trickle on the money off of these things. Price for berries is still high, and we still got plenty of surplus, though, so... I guess the real reason I don't want to play, like, Final Fantasy 16 is, like, I kind of almost feel like I'd rather just go and play a Devil May Cry game. Because, like, you know, why not? Do I really need to play, like, a Final Fantasy game that's pretending to be a, Devil May Cry game? But at the same time, like, I would probably like it more than I would like the Final Fantasy VII remake, because I didn't really like Final Fantasy VII. It's hard to say. Okay, how are we doing on our actual vegetable harvest? Like, are we actually getting anything out of this? It always says, like, less than you actually have, because it all gets stored in general storage here. If we take a look, like, we got some carrots in here, but we've probably also got some in the market. I think the real problem is, like, they'll harvest a bunch of stuff, and then they'll try to, like, plant stuff afterwards into the same area, and it's a weird thing with the AI where they'll, like, plant in the harvesting season. It does weird stuff like that. I don't know. Because why is there still vegetables here? Like, new ones that they've... No, they're not planting them, though. It's not that same bug that I've had previously. I don't know, this game always does, like, slightly weird things, and it's hard to tell where it's going with any given moment there. Not actually 100% sure where all these vegetables are going. Wouldn't say that Final Fantasy 16 is worth it except at steep discount. Yeah. I've got one friend who's, like, super into the Final Fantasy franchise series. Apparently he thought it was okay, but I'm not surprised. He likes every single Final Fantasy game that's ever come out, so... It's not really a surprise there. Okay. I need to get the tiles for this thing, I guess. Yeah, I can't really think of the last time I really liked playing a Final Fantasy game. It's kind of weird. I guess that might actually be one of the other things that's, like, enticing Atlas to go make the game that they're making, because, like, no competition right now. No one's competing, they can just sort of hop in there and do whatever they want. Okay, isn't worth that much money? Yeah. That makes sense. It's kind of a lot of the game market right now. It's a lot of games that are really expensive and just don't have a ton going for them. Okay. Definitely gonna stop trade here. Typically if the core game is like kind of not amazing, DLCs for RPGs tend not to like fix it. You know, I think the main thing that like would really harm like Square Enix's like ability to make a good Devil May Cry is that they do tend to take their stories really seriously, even if they have some like goofy moments in it. Whereas a good Devil May Cry game is like kind of goofy throughout the entire thing. Same with Bayonetta. Like Bayonetta is a dramatically unserious game with a lot of like just very tongue-in-cheek moments there. I don't think that Square Enix is very good at that sort of like insincere kind of. It's not insincere. It's like a mix of insincere sarcasm, but also very like earnest cheesiness that like I don't think SquareSoft does a very good job of. I don't think they as a studio have the ability to set the right tone for that kind of game for some reason, is how I would sort of think about it. Though who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they can do it. Well, apparently they didn't, so, you know, there's that. Alright, you actually empty for the year or you're still growing? I think you're actually empty, okay. This is probably where we try to start getting our farms ready for the year. And we are doing barley. Looks like there's a good chunk of that up here. Okay. I think we do, like, long strips up this way. It's a little bit too big. Should actually try to get these even longer. I don't honestly see any reason not to go with just very long fields or like ones that are over a Morgan. Okay. This one's 1.5. I can actually go a little bit bigger on this one. Just do like that. That one's 2, that's fine, whatever, it's okay. And then we can do some more down this way. These ones will be a bit jank, actually, but... Tried new Timberborn patch. I still haven't played Timberborn. I don't know why I don't want to play that. I think what I'm most opposed to is like this really stupid thing, which is like it's full of beavers, but it's not Canadian, so you know I have to reject it. You know, good old Canadian nationalism, which is just as stupid as everyone else's nationalism. Okay, let's do something like this. Not worth the hype. Manor Lord? I don't think it's... So, there's two different things going on. There are a substantial number of people that are saying that Manor Lords is like the best game that has ever blah 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 blah. And ones that are like, it's going to be the new Total War, which I think is like absolutely ridiculous. There are a lot of things that are being said about Manor Lords that have nothing to do with what the game seems to be trying to be. Like, where they're advertising it as being something that's going to have all these sort of insane features that I don't see them adding to it, or maybe they do add it, but I don't see it making the game better. So there's the fact that I think that Manor Lords is being massively overhyped by people who believe it's going to be something that it never has promised being. And then there's also, like, all the people who are sort of, like, very expectant of it being something that's going to be really, 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 really high quality. Where I think it is it's a good city builder game. I actually like it. It reminds me a lot of Banished. It's got a lot of the elements that are sort of like that. Um, I think that it's overhyped to hell though, because there are people who are saying that it's going to have, and I don't think this is the developer's fault. The developer's been very clear about what they want it to do and what they want it to be, and it has very little to do with all the stuff that people are claiming it's going to be. So this is a situation where I think that there's just a massive amount of people who are trying to like direct it into being something that it's not really intended as, in a sort of sense there. So I definitely do think that Manor Lords, Timberborn, yeah, Timberborn's Polish, yeah. Or I thought they were Scandinavian, but yeah, no, Polish could be. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just remember it's not Canadian. There are actually like European beavers though, so it's not like, you know, Canada has no like monopoly on beavers or anything like that. So, although I think the European beaver is mostly extinct. So I don't know. Not too sure what to do about these guys. I might just do something like this here. This is kind of probably not going to work very well. This is going to be a bad field, I think. This is just going to be a bad field. Alright. So we do that. I can probably take them off the saw pit now then. Yeah, part of me really hopes that they do primarily focus on just making this, like, really optimizing it and not adding new features. I don't think that feature creep is going to help this game. Like, there are people who are saying that's going to have gunpowder, even though this takes place in the 1300s, and the first gunpowder doesn't even exist until the 1400s. So, and honestly, even if it was set in the 1400s, early 1400s, gunpowder would be kind of out of place for this scale. Like, you wouldn't typically see it in a small village like this. Because it wasn't usually, like, personal firearms. It was usually, like, big cannons, which were only used by very, very, very specific states that were willing to sort of experiment with that kind of crap. Which was not many states. Okay, I'm going to miss this harvest season, so I'm not even going to bother planting this year. Yeah, not any point in like trying to drop any of this stuff. Okay, Forger Hut. Still have people in there? Yes, I do. So yeah, I think that this game is one of those ones where it is right now and what it's capable of being is a really competent Banished like city builder type game, and it's also got, you know, pretty okay combat as sort of like a side mini thing. I don't think that it's supposed to like be a major combat sort of thing, and a lot of the people who are like really hyped about this game are saying that it's going to be like the combat is like the main thing, which I think is wrong. I actually don't think the combat in this game is all that great. And the format for it really limits what you can do with the combat as well. So, not too sure. I guess it just really comes down to like what you think. How are they harvesting vegetables already? It really comes down to like whether or not the developer decides to like keep on track with what it already is, or if they try to like fulfill the wishes of like their audience. And I think that the game's going to come off worse if they try to fulfill the wishes of their audience, because I think that like it trying to make it and warp it into something that I think is beyond the scope of what they can realistically do would be a bit of a negative thing for them. Although if they can pull it off, that would be really amazing. I just think that they're a really small team and they don't have the resources to really pull that off all that easily. Okay. Let's turn that off there. Okay, let's go ahead and get upgraded hitching posts. But yeah, I think that I need to make an important distinction here between like overhyped and bad, because Manor Lords is a good game. It is good. It's competent what it does, and it's fun to play. The problem is like the expectations. Not sure how I want to do this. Probably do these first. These would be a bit simpler. But yeah, that is also the reason why I'm playing it on the difficulty I'm playing it on. I've played it with the combat, and I've played it on challenging difficulty with the combat. I've played it on all the challenge mode things and beaten those. The combat just isn't really that engaging in the long term. Like, you beat the challenge with whichever method you're going to use, and then once you've done that, like, there's not really much to it. It makes it a sort of short, like, stressful, tactical sort of thing, I guess, to a certain degree. It's not that tactical. But you just sort of get through, like, the first few combats, and then once you start snowballing those, you win the game, and, like, that's all there is to it. Which leads you into a situation where you can't really focus on the city building afterwards because of the weird elements of the setting that make it so that your cities get burned down if you don't somehow completely luck out in where the bandits come in from. I was complaining about this because I was playing in the other difficulty. I had my second town, and I wasn't able to get any new units because there's a unit cap. Basically, like, I couldn't recruit any more new units in my new town, and a bunch of barbarians, brigands spawned in, like, right here, immediately burned all my stuff. Whereas the town that had, like, all the soldiers and stuff like that was all the way down here. And there's not a ton you can do about that, because if you move all your soldiers, like, all the way from here, all the way up to here, you end up in the situation where, like, all your soldiers, like, are up here, but then, like, what if the brigands spawn down here instead? It's just a 50-50 or sort of thing, like, and it gets worse the more towns you have. Like, if you have all the towns, then you're completely screwed. It's awful. It's awful. Okay. So at this point in time, let's start getting some sheep. Put this there. I've actually had a coworker that's been recommending me Timberborn as well. So it probably is a game I should get around playing at some point in time, but still having that issue there. Okay, let's pump that up to full there. I'm not actually 100% sure what, like, fully filling the church in with, like, people is doing. I don't actually know how that helps. Like, there might be a maximum capacity of people who can go in there at a certain point in time. I have no idea. Okay. Okay, we've got enough berries that I can start selling again. Berry price is back up. Spend every last cent that we have on sheep. What we'll basically do, it's the best successor to Banished. Yes, I do think it's probably the best successor to Banished. It is missing a couple elements that Banished had in it that I thought were interesting, like the way that the education modifier worked in terms of, like, making it so that people would work less in terms of how much of their lifespan they would work, because they would start working much later, but they would be much, much better at their jobs, much less likely to die. I think you're talking about Timberborn as the best one. That's fair. Water management. The water management seems like that would be confusing to me. I'm very bad at fluid dynamics, but I don't know how much you have to worry about that in that game. Okay, I think this guy's probably done working here for now, so I'm going to pop him out of there. Okay, so we'll start getting, like, sheep, and we'll start having these people using that wool, and we'll start selling off huge amounts of wool until that's sort of gone completely out of the way there. Yeah, I remember Timberborn's got like all these like complicated water locks and stuff like that that you can use that make it a little bit more complex and a little bit more engaging, which I think is really cool, but I would be bad at. Okay, did I upgrade both of these? Yes. And these are all upgraded, right? Good. I actually almost think that you can get too many sheep in one field here. Because what's the capacity for the stupid place? It's got pasture space for 97 sheep. Put this on pause for a while. Yeah, that's what I would kind of actually recommend, honestly. Oh, shoot. Woodcutters, extra person. Where are you? Forester's huts. Maybe even 3. Oh, this is a storage issue. Okay, how are we doing for pops? I'm at cap again, and I do need more workers still. Let's just do it like this. It's gonna look a bit funny, but I think that's fine. I do think this game needs a couple more patches, though, before it's, like, really, like, feels more complete, as it were. Because it definitely doesn't feel complete yet. Which it isn't, so, I mean, that's fair. But there's plenty of early access games out there that, like, feel like they're feature complete, like they're already done. And this is definitely not one of those. I guess, like, the big clue to that is this stuff. Okay. Still short on fuel. Let's get this capped out then, I guess. Need to upgrade this as well. I'm a bit worried about this game because, like, there have been... I've seen polls about, like, what people want done next. And, like, there's a lot of people who are saying they want, like, siege battles and stuff like that put in the game next. Which I would much rather see, like, the features that already sort of exist to be fleshed out and finished. So, like, I would much rather see them finish out the policies and, like, the development tree, and then go from there. Because until you've got, like, the complete elements of, like, the economy and stuff like that working, it would be interesting to see what they would do with the siege battle, but I don't see how you could functionally play that in the current build. Like, it wouldn't function, in my opinion, just with the way things are. Okay, I think I can trade in more sheep now. I think I can get 5 of them just fine. Okay, I'm not even sure necessarily, like, how to spend this money now I think about it. How did they change how this works? No. Okay, how do I get favor, or how do I get influence so I can take a province in this version? Oh wait, I remember now, it's build churches. It's kind of a weird state of things. I wish you could just purchase influence in this game mode. I think that would actually work better. You know, you spend some money and get some favors from some people. I think that would make more sense than what they're doing here. Oops. Yeah, well, whatever. It's fine. Alright. I guess I wait until the end of December before I do this, unless something weird's gonna happen, to prevent something weird from happening, rather. Because I feel like something strange might happen if I try to do that now. Let's check the price of berries. I have to constantly be popping in and checking the price to make sure we haven't dumpstered it too much. Yeah, so since it's dropped down, we're just gonna switch to no trade again. Our woodcutters... We've managed to get that cleared out again, since we've managed to get this large storehouse. That's helping. I just have to make sure these guys don't cut too far into this area so that they don't, like, destroy our berry deposit, because that is a thing that can happen in this game. I may want to get another forester's hut down here, just so that we don't have that problem. Because a forester hut is good, but 2 forester huts basically works perpetually. Alright, we already seem to have a pretty decent population rolling in here. Let's upgrade you. Okay, so I'm going to turn on our trading post and I'm going to start selling wool. And we just don't need any of it right now. We could also go ahead and get the Weaver's Workshop so you can produce linen. And we'll use that linen to sell... Or not linen, the yarn, whatever, whichever one. I don't want that there, probably here. I think that's fine. I actually kind of like the other city I had designed as far as like the shape of it goes a bit better than this one, but we have to make some concessions for the area that we're in here compared to the other one. What we could do is start cutting our way down to here and then just sort of have our town cut through the woods here. So we don't technically need like all these trees or anything like that. We can cut down like a lot of these trees and it'd be fine since we're sort of sustainable off this area here. Alright, we're starting to sell some wool, which is good because we're not using it for anything. We'll get our weavers in and we'll start also selling yarn. And we'll use that money to get more sheep, and then eventually we'll have enough sheep to fill in all these fields, although I think we need a population of something like 600 sheep. Which feels like a lot. Like, what is the... That only has 77 pasture space. That's wild. How is this so much more? How did they calculate this? Right. Well, regardless, I think we are going to need, like... about 400 sheep. Feels like a lot, honestly. Okay. Don't think I've got quite enough money for that. I'm gonna have to wait a little bit before I got that cash. Wouldn't mind getting some more houses down here that are vegetable farms. Okay, that'll do. This is very like German Black Forest kind of settlements here, where they have like all the nursery rhymes about people who will like eat you or whatever. Okay. So let's get these fields readied up now. Let's get you doing barley, you doing barley, and the rest will be fallow for now. So we'll do it like this. Which seems fine. Let's have you guys. Okay, we'll do that. We've got these stables here. I might as well try to buy some ox here. We can. That way we can also build stuff while we have our fields working. If you're actually capable of, you know, thinking straight and using micro, even the tiniest amount, what you can do is you can assign the farmhouses with these until the planting is done. Then once the planting is done, you go ahead and just like unassign them and it's like fine. Where'd all our sheep go? Are they in here now? Yep. And I can't tell if this has gone up, because I wasn't paying that close attention. Either way, though. We're definitely going to need another market at some point here. Okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead here and start trading out yarn. It's all going to market, unfortunately, so we're not keeping up on that. What I'd probably do is throw in like more weavers, but for now we are getting more pops, so... Yeah, we should have room for 7 more people, probably more than that in the end. Okay. Yeah, the malt house is done. We don't actually work that yet since we don't have any barley. Still not 100% sure why you can only make barley into your beer, but if that's how they want to do it, that's how they want to do it. Now we're down to 10. Price for wool hasn't dropped yet, that's good. Although I think what's happening here is it's getting consumed by the Weaver's Workshop to the point where I don't get a chance to send it. And it gets consumed by the people living here before they get a chance to actually use it, so... What I might need to do is wait till we've got some more of the other stuff here. We could sell some berries again. Should be in season now. Alright, now that we've got berries coming in, I can hit the export button on these guys. Yep, look at this nice, efficient use of, like, the ox plow. Just goes straight across. Hopefully this will work out okay. I'm never too sure with the way that game likes to do things. This could also be one of those situations where, like, if you just have these maxed out, I wonder if they actually plow the field faster than the oxen does. part of me thinks that that might actually be the case anyway. What I should try is, like, going to a settlement that has no fertility for the fields, and just have a ton of sheep and see if that, like, brings the fertility up on the fields above the minimum start. Because it should. Like, that should actually be a thing that can happen. Because if you have, like, the fertilizer from, like, the sheep in the field and stuff like that, that's actually building up the soil beyond what it would have been normally. So, I don't know. Yeah, here these guys come out planting. Looks like it's doing okay. Alright, we're up to 60 bucks again. Let's go ahead and get ourselves that other ox. We were going to turn these guys into vegetable farms, but I don't have enough money yet. I think I just have to sort of sit here and wait until I have money. I think like that ought to do. Alright. There we go, 110 bucks. It's too late in the season for these guys to switch to vegetable farms. That would actually just harm my production, so I think I leave that for now. This is capped. Let's go ahead and upgrade it. I feel like this is capped out at 56 right now. I wonder if it will go up, though. I wonder if I need to get like an extra little field just to have like the sheep roaming around in, so that it like keeps them sort of occupied as a spillover thing. There's 5 forger hut spots there though. That might be happening because I have to upgrade this granary, so it doesn't have any storage space right now. Okay, more family is good. Good, good. Both food and fuel is running short-ish. That's not ideal. I just remembered, I've got this policy set here. I have to do that. Okay. So I probably have to stop growing for a little bit here. I think 50 houses is going to be our maximum for a little bit. Until I get some more logistics down for food. Which should be okay. We can put this here. Got one for the malt house. I've got plenty of houses that I could change into the tavern, or the brewery. So I should be able to get this up and running now, but I know that this building consumes ale so quickly that you barely even get to keep hold of it. It's kind of awkward. What we're kind of hoping to be able to do is get up to tier... like, get one more level, and then get access to advanced skinning to double the amount of meat that we get from hunting. Because that'll increase the amount of food that we have by a pretty radical amount without us having to do anything too crazy there. Our yield is slowly going up here. Hopefully we'll actually get this full yield and not be interrupted by the fact that we had that policy. I don't know when that takes place. Alright, berries still haven't crashed the price yet. Good, good, good. Still at 56. I'm kind of wondering if like increasing the number of sheep is what like lets you have more. Prices are higher than usual. Looks like the same price. I don't see that as actually having increased. I could try to get access to like the extra sheep thing where they just reproduce, but apparently that does some negative things potentially. So if you're doing a forever town, that's not ideal. I guess in the meantime, we just wait for the harvest to come on in. I feel like the yield goes up very slowly in this game. Sort of like watching it. It seems like it goes up by like 1 per day, basically, up until the point where it's harvestable. Oh no, there's a bit more. This one was slightly more fertile. It's getting a little bit higher up there faster. Who knows? Okay. How's this Weaver's Workshop doing now? Are we actually selling any of this stuff? Looks like we are, actually. Okay, that's nice. This has been kept at 0, which is good. I think there was a period where we were bumped above the amount that we want to be at, but I think that was pretty short. We've gone up above... We're at 10 months now, so we've boosted up our food production by enough. I guess it is because like we're selling quite a lot of our food, though. I did need that, though, I do need to keep doing that until I can get enough wool income that I can sort of overcome consumption. I feel like we're just slowly able to accumulate more sheep, but it is a very slow process. Still haven't crashed the price somehow. Is there anything else I needed to get these guys to level 3? Is it just the tavern? Nope, I also need more food diversity. Okay, so we're definitely going to have to aim for next year. Although I could get a bunch of eggs. I feel like vegetable plots is probably better in the long run, though, by a decent amount. So I think we just have a year before we actually get that. And so we'll have, like, a bunch of barley stocked up so that we can get, like, malted here, but... yeah, I think we delay this a year. The amount of vegetables that we have available to us is always feeling really low. Just always does. We are starting the harvest, though. Level 79. Let's check the price for those sheep there. It's still saying, like, it's more expensive, but they haven't actually increased the price yet, so... let's go ahead and get 5 more. Let's go ahead and turn off berries exports. There we go. I don't get these yield numbers. I really don't. I've had this thing where, like, it'll always show, like, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds for the yield, and I wonder if that's what it's supposed to be, or if it's supposed to be the number that, like, it was shown as the estimated yield, which is always more accurate to what we sort of end up with. It's hard for me to tell which it's supposed to be. And then they're tilling the fields again. I don't know why they're doing this. Because it's going to be laying fallow, so it's not like we're actually intending to use that field right now. Okay, so we got like 130 barley out of the deal. Not great, but... Because I feel like that produces 130 ale, which is obscenely low. Given that you seem to go through like 1 ale per person per day. We'll have to see once we actually get our tavern up and running, I suppose. Alright, we'll turn on the malt house. Yeah, this flashes back to being fallow, which is what we want it to be. Sheep, for some reason, move back to this field. Let's see what the fertility jumps to. It doesn't change at all. Still the same. Slowly recovering. There we go. But I think that's going to just slowly keep creeping back upwards from this point. Okay, I can afford 5 more sheep again. Yeah, the way that fields are getting plowed is really weird to me. I don't understand it. Because we're not planting this year. We've already had a harvest, so I don't know. There's probably some logic behind what's happening here. It's just I don't get it. Yeah, whatever it is, I don't get it. Okay, let's make sure that we have enough money and that we are... Well, I'll wait a little bit here until it starts snowing so that they don't try to plant or whatever. But I want to get this started here. We've got food for 8 months now. It's dropped again. Ugh. Okay. I think this is okay to put down now. Nope, they're trying to till the fields again. Oh well. Alright, we got $1. Fantastic. I think we didn't finish buying the sheep. I think that's actually what happened. Okay, yeah. I had less money than I thought we did. It's okay. Up to 38%. I think this place was 46. Was where it was. You know, I'm not sure when this starts. This might actually be something that's invented later, but usually you don't actually just leave a field fallow by ignoring it. Typically you would actually plant some kind of like intermediary crop, like clover, that would then get eaten by the sheep or whatever, and then the sheep would like poop all over the fields, but like they wouldn't just leave it like this necessarily. That might be a later invention though. That might be the 4-field crop rotation, which comes later, of course, but I don't remember if that specific thing about laying a field fallow in that way is from which period. Okay, we had money, we lost it all. Okay, cool. That must mean all of our sheep are in. We're close to. Yep, it's all of them. Okay. I wish I had paid a little bit more attention. I think that this one has recovered 7%, and I think that this one's only recovered 6%, but I don't think there's been a huge difference in recovery speed. Need to do like a very careful test, I think, to figure that one out, like exactly how much you're doing with that kind of rotation. Or how much exactly they're helping. And again, I should be popping people in and out of the buildings there, but it's fine. Okay, let's get a couple of those eggs. These guys are not the most efficient egg houses, but it doesn't really matter. It's not like they'll be any worse off for doing this either. Okay, so those chicken coops will hopefully keep us a little bit better fed, because we are dropping in terms of like our food really fast somehow. Almost feels like they're not generating any food whatsoever here. I don't know why. I wonder how much food they get out of one carcass. Feels like 2? They get 2, okay. Implications of that are kind of wild, but let's not think about that too hard. We've got 63 malts, we still got about 100 barley. Yeah, the fertilization numbers are what I'm sort of curious about at this point, but I don't think that that's correct, because I find that, like, when I run it, what you should be able to do is you should be able to run crops twice, and then you should be fallow once. And I find that if I do that, I don't end up back to base fertility. So there's something weird going on, and I think it has to do with that tendency for them to try to do another planting, which is depleting extra fertility than compared to what they're supposed to. I think that's probably what's happening. Although, admittedly, that still leaves, like, you should actually be able to do, like, a planting almost every year because you're fallow for, like, the winter. Although, admittedly, this apparently doesn't count as fallow, so whatever. I don't know, there's something strange going on with the harvestability numbers that I've been finding doesn't work out quite that way, the way that I'm playing some reason. Alright, I'm going to get you to start making a brewery's extension. We'll see how much beer we end up with, which is probably going to be practically none. But that's fine. Okay, that seems more like an exploit than that does a realistic way of them depicting it, but I guess that's one way that you could play it. I just build 4 times as many fields as I feel like I'm going to need. Which seems to work out okay. Okay, I think this was at 55 at start, and this one was at 46 at start, so this has actually recovered quite a bit faster. Interesting. It's weird, it's bizarre to me that each of the plants would have their own sort of fertility. That seems like a... That seems wrong. I don't know, like, this wheat value seems lower than it should, but... The one exception to that would be... No, none of the plants that they have here are nitrogen fixers, so none of them would actually fix that. Yeah, I really think that, like, having the sheep grazing the field should actually be able to boost this above its base fertility value. Like, that would be realistic. They might not want to do that because they don't want to let you turn any sort of field into a farmable field. So that might be why they're not letting you do that, but strictly speaking, you should be able to throw sheep into a field and have it produce more crops than it would normally be able to have. Alright, we're into March. People are planting their crops in all their different vegetable fields. Hopefully that'll be enough. We've got food for practically no time whatsoever. Fantastic. And we've got berries coming in. And somehow, inexplicably, people are going and harvesting vegetables. There's something weird going on, but I don't know what it is or why it's the way it is. Well... Sure, I guess if we in the end still get the vegetables, that's fine, question mark, but yeah. That is not ideal. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, we're out of meat. How's this already at a yield of 79? What's going on here? The heck? I feel like they plant the crops, like, in winter. Yeah, that's probably why they're not doing it, but it would be realistic. I wonder, like, if they're planting the crops in, like, November, and then it just sits there over the winter, and then suddenly, like, counts as having been growing from December to January, and that's why it's like this. Because if that's the case, that's really weird. But, no, that's just really weird. I can see no reason why it should be like that. It doesn't feel right. I can't think of any other reason this is happening this way, because I didn't see them planting in the spring. What's going on here? Alright, well, whatever. Yeah, this is locked in, I think, at 46%. What would be nice is if after they reach that 46%, like they've reached the point where that's fully fertilized, if they would then move the sheep over to here. Like, I think that that is something that should be programmed in there. I don't know, but I guess they assume that you're just going to get, like, all these fields 100% filled with sheep, which would be insane, but also probably be what you want, I guess. I don't know. Alright. So at this point in time, we're okay on food supply. We've got beer coming in. We should have some ale. We got 51 of them, which is practically none. I feel like the ale production is actually really slow. Are we being throttled by the production of malt? Nope, we got plenty of malt. So do I need more breweries? This might be an I need, like, multiple breweries sort of situation. They do plant after harvest. The yield actually decreased over the growing year in the beta. Yeah, that's kind of what I sort of thought was sort of happening, but it's hard to tell exactly what's happening there. Like, why it's happening the way it's happening, I don't know. At the very least, it seems like the harvest, or the fertility didn't drop too much over the winter, but it did definitely look like it was dropping over the winter, because this was at 50-something? I don't know, something weird happens with the way the crops go. I don't know. I don't like it. There should be, like, they should gate this stuff between, like, planting season, harvest season, so that they don't do that. They would also have to provide some, like, speed buffs, because, like, they don't plant and harvest fast enough for the grow time. Or they should decrease the grow time significantly. Because right now it feels like the grow time only reaches 100% if you plant in autumn somehow. I don't know. That feels really weird to me. This is probably actually why this is like this, where I feel like you need to have, like, the fields fallow for 2 years. It's probably because of this bug or whatever it is going on. Alright. So I need to get, like, 3 upgraded to the next level so I can get the advanced skinning. Hopefully this will not screw me over too badly. Okay. Got -1 meat. I've never seen -10 meat before. That is a little bit interesting. Should be fine, actually. Okay. There are some reported bugs running at 12 times speed. Is that caused by being at 12 times speed? Would they not do that if I was at a lower speed? I'm not sure how you would play parts of this game without going on that higher speed value, but that's just me being impatient, I guess. Let's buy some more sheep. Farming manually with forced harvest. Oh god, that sounds painful. That sounds like a real ball ache. That sounds absolutely torture. Let's not do that. That sounds not good. Okay, so let's see if you guys... Yeah, okay. Okay, our food stall supplies are falling behind here, because we need more, like... Chickens potentially will also help here. I've noticed that, like, the food just has to be available. They don't necessarily actually have to eat it, but so long as there's, like, 3 different types of foods available, they're fine. Military and fires. Okay. I haven't noticed too many bugs at multiple speeds on military side of things, but that might also just be me not noticing them happening. Which, very realistic for that to be the case. Okay, we got a bunch more eggs, which is a crap food source in this game, but... Yeah, I just need to get the food desirability up to 1 higher, basically. Oh, you're okay. You're okay. So that'll be our 3 tier 3 houses. I actually don't really care for getting tier 3 houses for anything other than the, like, large village or whatever, but... Let's let these get built. Honestly speaking, don't think that this is... This almost looks like it's just a much larger house, I guess. I don't know. But I'm not sure if this looks nicer, per se. I guess it does. It's got a little bit of glass in the windows. It's 3 stories tall. Instead of just... It's 3 stories plus an awning. Okay. So we got another one. We can get advanced skinning now. So... Getting the doubled meat production isn't going to help us, like, tremendously right off the bat, but it will slowly and steadily start boosting the amount of meat that we're getting. Which should help. So the next one, we need to have basically just 10 buildings at level 3. We don't even have to think about the next point. Traps aren't used until hunt is at minimum? Like, do you mean as in, like, 0? Because I thought that annihilated the hunt value. I thought that annihilated the camp. The reason I think that that's happening, by the way, like, I'm pretty sure what's happening is these guys don't go out to do trapping until, like, these things are empty. I think the other way that you were able to do that was you could go into advanced and you could set area, like limit work area, and just make it so that they're only working in an area that doesn't have anything. Yeah, I kind of think that's kind of silly, but I think what's actually happening is, like, they aren't putting down traps unless they have got nothing to hunt, and as long as there's stuff over here to hunt. But I was pretty sure you didn't actually have to get them down to minimum. I thought you could do this. I'm gonna try it. That's whatever. Let's put you here. I've only got 1 free worker right now, though. That's a bit of a problem. Maybe I should build some more burgage plots. Although, admittedly, I don't want my population to exactly explode right now. The heck? There we go. Okay, so we have this now. Let's go ahead and do limited work area, and we're going to limit you to working here. And we'll see if this ever generates any food. Oh, yeah, because, like, that's them not collecting from the hunts until... Yeah, that's because they don't lay out traps unless there's, like, no food around. I'm pretty sure that was the logic behind that happening that way. But I'm pretty sure you could also do it this way. I just think that was a relatively slow trickle of food. One problem here is it's hard to tell when they're actually gaining anything, because I don't think that they're... Yeah, they're not working on their limited work area. I don't know what's going on as far as that goes. It's also bouncing around here. Let's do that. Yeah, they're going all over the place. Not sure where they're traveling. They're helping in the farms for some reason. That's very peculiar. This might have been because of, like, things they had been doing previously. Either way, though. Still negative meat. Got another person, so we can put 2 in there. Wait, what? That's some very strange movement there. Stocks damaged in the fields. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Okay. Next thing that we might want to do is orchards, but what I'm thinking we do is we get the bakeries and start actually building wheat, but I actually kind of don't like the logistics for bread. It never seems to actually be that good, but it's probably the direction we go here. Guessing a lot of these people are not up for upgrading. Oh, I actually have no planks. Wow, I did not think I'd spent that many. Alright, fine. Let's do this. I don't feel like these guys are actually building traps. Well, either way. I never relied on those because I knew they were kind of janky. But kind of awkward for them to just not be working for me here. Oh well. Let's see here. We're up to 41 out of 97. Got 166 barley. Yeah, this weird field is going to take forever to plow. It's a bit unfortunate, but this one almost, I think, would be better if I was having people plow it by hand, but they're doing it in, like, October instead of spring, so I guess this is fine. They've got all winter to finish. What a weird bug. I don't know. Okay, so I think that these guys are full again. We'll see if these guys recover. I don't know if they will. They'll have 2 years to do it, though. It's a pretty long time. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that these guys are actually doing their job. Have to figure out exactly the logic behind how these things work. Still, though, our meat consumption being so fast is kind of worrisome. Oh yeah, I have the trapping dev point. Yep, it's this one. Could be that I didn't click a spot that had enough forest, because it does say that it has to be, like, in the forest. Because I put it on the road. That might have been part of the problem there. But yeah, I do have that tech. I didn't do it for the trapping itself, necessarily. I did it for the double meat tech, more than anything. Because I find that the double meat tech is actually quite good for that. We're caught up on that through eggs, though. I think the problem is, like, they're consuming, like, the meat first. Like, that's their first choice. So that's going away really, really, really fast. Because we've still got, like, plenty of vegetables and we've still got plenty of eggs. So I think that the problem is just people are going and immediately snapping up all the meat from the market there. Which does happen, and that's fine. Yeah, the amount of ale I've got still bad. I do actually need more people in the malt house, okay. Why are there... Oh, I thought that was tiles. I was like, what the heck? Okay, let's upgrade some more here. What is the additional requirements here? It's more food variety? That's fine. Getting us up to, like, level max is going to be... Or next level, rather, is going to be kind of fine, but kind of also pointless. I'm not entirely sure how much you need to be, like, leveling your village in this game. I guess it does provide you that extra income, like, because the level 3s provide you with more money, but I'm not sure how important I think that actually is. Especially because they, like, require so much more. They're a lot fussier anyway. Oh yeah, nope, these guys, their trapping is working. I think, anyway. It should be, because, like, they shouldn't be going over here. They have been restricted off that area, so... I think what happened was I needed to click on the correct sort of, like, zone, which, you know, this works better now. What would be interesting is, like, checking to make sure by overhunting the wild animals to extinction and then just using trapping after that. Beta fixed food consumption. Wait, is food consumption bugged? I thought it was just that there was, like, a tier list of priorities where they would eat certain things first and then eat other things afterwards. Was that a bug? I thought that was just... I thought that was intentional. It didn't make a ton of sense, per se, but, like, I felt like that was one of those simplification things that, you know, let you, sort of create that sort of list of what people will eat first instead of having it be randomized or something like that. Okay. But yeah, if that's a bug, that would be interesting to know. Too steep to build. Huh, I didn't know that hills actually limited your building. Yeah, interesting. Cool. I knew elevation mattered in this game. I've never seen it block building before. In the beta, the foods are consumed randomly. Huh, okay. So it was just a balance thing that people were complaining about, I guess? That's fair. I actually don't mind it being weighted that way in a certain sense there, but I can definitely see why it would be better if it was randomized, because that way, like, I wouldn't have this unlimited amount of berries just sitting here doing nothing, for example. The beer gets put into the granary. That's interesting. Yeah, so I always thought that was... I thought that was a deliberate choice. Okay, how do I have 41 out of 40 here? What happened? Because I don't have the perk that lets me do free sheep. Something else must be going on there. Yells at 1/3 the consumption in beta. Okay, actually, yeah, that one sounds important because, like, holy jeez, is it ever hard to keep, like, people with enough beer? Like, it is unreasonable. It is just flat out unreasonable. Speaking of, I'm actually gonna get another brewery extension. Were there two families living in here? I guess there were. Oops. Oh well. That makes it into a massive house that is like literally just consuming this poor person's house. They're just like, oh yeah, just living here, having a good time, minding their own business. This house just comes in, just literally consumes them. It's eating their eavesdrop. I think like my problem isn't actually the consumption rate of alcohol. Like that's sure whatever, but the problem is like a field like this should not produce what is it like 100 barley, which then just produces like 100 ales or whatever. Like that makes no sense. One per family per month for me. Yeah, that's pretty bad, but it's not the worst. Like it feels as though maybe that's supposed to be a keg, I guess. Maybe that's a keg. Maybe that's why that's like that. But they were supposed to be able to drink like I think it was 2 liters of ale per person per day. It was weak ale. It was very weak, but like you drank quite a lot back then. Or it could have been 2 liters of family per day. Regardless, like the amount that you produce in this is way too low in my opinion, rather than the amount that's being consumed being too high. Like I kind of think that a field should produce something like 10 times as much barley, given the sort of numbers and ratios that they're sort of working at, or like you produce way more. Thinking cider from apples, or well, I mean, it's not even just that, because you should be able to make like any of the food products basically into an alcohol realistically. Like, so you could have rye whiskey, for example. You could have beer made out of the other crops. Honestly, it's kind of weird that you're specifically using barley, but even assuming, what the hell? Yep. That is why they had beer, yeah. That depended on where you were, though. There were places where they drank water. It would depend on if there was a good, clean water supply. But generally speaking, yeah, people drank beer. Yeah, slightly confused as to what's going on here, because I thought they already did the planting. But I guess not. It's probably fine, though. Either way, we are all out of barley for now. We are running out of malt, and we still have only a little bit of ale. Yeah, it would be nice if like the amount of barley you got per field was dramatically increased. I think that's what would actually fix it. Because to me, it's not like they're over-consuming. It's that they're underproducing for the amount of like space that you're using, the amount of like effort that you're using. Yeah, this field is going to be a bit of a nightmare for me. I feel like something very weird is going on with the way that this planting happened this year. Well, either way. I feel like trapping is very slow compared to just direct hunting. Okay. Up to 5. I could also potentially get like extra berries, but I don't think that would be the most useful for me right now. Let's get more eggs, I think. Just spending tons of money on like eggs is like fairly easy way to just bulk out your food production without it costing you much, but do they actually eat from the apiaries? Like, what does honey actually do for them? Do they just eat it, like, straight up? It seemed kind of weird to me, honestly. It's just honey for a meal. with one hunter per. Why does it matter if it's one hunter per, by the way? Is that just a weird glitchy sort of thing? Like, because that makes no sense, honestly. Okay, yeah, I think my harvest is screwed this year, but that's fine. Honestly, shouldn't make a difference if it's like in one or if you got like two in the same one. Like, that should make no difference. There's probably something about like the building checking to see like if there's a deposit. The way they do it, they just eat it. Well, you can use the wax as a trade resource if I recall correctly, and I think it's actually pretty valuable, isn't it? I thought you could sell the wax for a decent amount of money. Yeah, wax, it's not bad as a trade resource. Just sell all of it. Shouldn't having two in the hunting camp, like, still double the trap value, though? Seems like it should. If it's not, that's just weird. Okay, I'm gonna run out of tiles pretty soon. I think I might actually go back to doing this. Have my clay furnace going again. Candles aren't in the game yet. It's kind of weird that candles wouldn't be, because you don't necessarily need to make them out of wax. They usually made them out of tallow. So the fact that we got sheep means that we should be able to make candles, for example. In fact, arguably, like, fat tallow candles would probably be more common than beeswax candles. What would the candles actually be for, too? Like, just a luxury commodity to make people happier, I'm guessing? You're not able to play. Why not? I don't think that the computer requirements of this game are actually too difficult. I think you could actually just not focus on getting like 1 million people. If you had like... If you're at this sort of population level, I think you should be okay playing the game just with most computers out there. Like, I'm running with quite a large number of people going around doing their business, but it doesn't seem to be too difficult for my computer. Let's see, I think I want to start working. Tallow is another resource yet to be added. It'd be kind of interesting to see where they would put tallow as a resource, because like it would come from virtually every industry that we have. Like, you would get it from all these sheep, you would get it from the goats. You don't really get it from chickens for some reason. I'm not sure why you can't use chicken fat, but you're out in the boonies. I mean, if you got a computer, you got the internet, unless you're watching this over a phone or something like that. But, I mean, all you really need is a pretty mediocre computer and, like, an internet connection to download the game. It works offline. But, yeah, no, if for some reason you can't play it, then, you know, happens. Do I want to put these here? I'm going to put these here, I think. Nice little homes nestled in the woods in this bizarre spot here. Let's go ahead and put a market down here. Hello? Alright, we got the markets on the hill, where all the people's goods are going to just slide down off the hill. Oh, you definitely don't need high-speed internet for this game. Like, it would be good to have for the download, making it faster, but you know, once you've got that done, you're good to go. Okay, clay furnace here. Are we done all our clay? Not yet. We'll give that a little bit longer there. I think that cattle will be added. Cattle being added might be interesting. Technically, we do actually have like the ability to get cattle. Like we have the ox, and you can get tallow out of those guys as well. But you don't get. I think that you don't get meat or milk from the goats for balance reasons, rather than it being like a thing that they intend to add. I think that that's like a deliberate design choice to make it so that you have to do something else to get access to that. I think that that was one of those deliberate choices. I feel like this is far away from like being ready for harvest. I feel like these guys always like harvest these things super early, and that's the default. It's like crop growth is always way lower than it should be. This is what I was saying. I think it needs to be done so that the stuff grows way faster. Like the grow phase being too slow is one of the weird problems or hurdles to this. Yeah, it's kind of the same with chickens. Like, I think that chickens only producing an egg very, very sporadically and very slowly is a deliberate design choice and not a flaw. I think that they're doing that to make it so that eggs are a little bit more balanced. You know, everything sort of just gives you that one little supply there instead of, like, providing you with a good mix of different things. We're not still selling berries, are we? We're not good. It would be nice as well if, like, when it's raining, when there's stuff in the fields, like, it didn't affect it, because the reason that they put it in those, like, triangular sort of pyramid-shaped things should have just made it harder to get. I mean, they could have done that, but, like, in that instance, if you don't have good access to hunting, you could accidentally lock yourself out of being able to get any leather, which would be really, really bad. Although by then you could probably get sheep regardless, so maybe it's not that big a deal. But yeah, I think that they just tried to make it so that it's a sustainable, constant source of leather is what they wanted to make sure. I'm also not sure how you would make like stuff harder to get without it having a really bad justification for why it's so hard to get. Like, honestly, it should not be that hard to get a goat. One of the reasons why they were so like prolific throughout history is because they were like fairly easy to get, they were fairly cheap, and they were like very useful in a lot of different ways. Like, they had a ton of features that made them useful to have. What was going on there, honestly? Okay, all the sheep get shuffled over here. Yeah, that's... Well, they also have sheep as that separate resource, so, you know. But, yeah, I think it's more of a balance thing. I think it's less to do with, like, it being specifically realistic or anything like that, and it's more just for balance purposes. They want to make sure that, like, the goat doesn't just take over the meta by making it so you just slam down goats in every building. Making it harder, like, yeah, you could do that to balance it out, but I don't know how you would make that make sense. Because it wouldn't make sense. It would be weird. Alright, I think we just barely averted an ale crisis, so that's good. How do I want to do this? So I've got to get 4 more upgrade to level 3. Apparently we have another level 2 house still. Where, though? Oh, up here. Waha. Yeah, our vegetables are keeping up with us. Our eggs are sort of like making up for the fact that we're having a hard time with meat. It's fine. I think we're okay here. I think the thing with the hunting camps is something you would only do if you had like a lot of surplus population. I think that's when you would choose to do that. Well, I mean, it makes it so that your village goes for like a more interesting approach where you've got like different things that you need for different things instead of just you build a million goats. because that would fix like all your problems. Even though like in real life you would have villages that just herd goats, and that would like account for pretty much everything that they really needed in the town. So like, you know, not doing that probably is a good thing, I guess. I do think that there should be like some sort of butchery though, where you get like you can turn sheep into meat or something like that, or you can turn like your ox into meat or something like that, and hides and stuff like that. Get meat out of the goats as a sort of industrial thing, I guess. I don't know. Use surplus animals as input. That way you could get rid of that problem that people were having where it's like you have unlimited sheep, I guess. That would also probably fix that. You could just have it so that you have a sort of set value of sheep that you want your village to be at, and as long as you're above that, you send them to the slaughterhouse or something like that. I think that would work. Might make it too easy, though, I guess, to just keep yourself constantly fed in huge amounts of, like, sheep or whatever, but I don't know. I'm not sure what you could realistically do about the situation. Depends on what they're really going for in terms of the gameplay. Like, how much they want to lean on the gameplay being gameplay and how much they want to sort of, like, lean towards realism. Because it's not supposed to be like a pure simulation or anything like that. They've said that before, and I agree that it's not supposed to be that. I think I need to have another one of these guys. Alright. I should delete this. Just because that's already done. Woodcutter's Lodge is getting stuff rained on, that's fine. Got 1,700 firewood. Yeah, game balance is one of those things. It's kind of like, it's weird, because you want there to be game balance, but honestly speaking, games that are obsessed with being balanced are usually bad. You need to strike that, ironically enough, right balance of game balance, where it's like, you don't balance the fun out of it. That is too steep to build. Fantastic. Interesting. Okay. What about over here? Too steep to build. Interesting. Is it just that whole hill all the way down to here, I guess? Maybe. Either way, though, I think I'm just about at the end of this particular video. I'm going to try upgrading to level 3 enough stuff that we've got the next level. And then from there, we'll call it quits for the day. Just sworn, I've got another Burgage Plot level 2 somewhere. I just don't know where it is. The heck? There we go. Okay. Residing families, 2 out of 4. Do these things actually have higher capacity? I guess it makes sense given that they're like a much bigger building, but I thought it was a much bigger building because the people inside of them were like much richer or something like that. Like a much wealthier household. Interesting. Okay, so I suspect I'm all done with the clay furnace here. Let's get you out of there. Well, I mean, sometimes that is the story, though. Like, you know, the story is you, like, ascend to deityhood or something like that. I think those campaigns can be interesting, but yeah, usually I prefer making characters that are... Well, usually my characters are bizarre. I play a lot of tabletop role-playing games as well, and my characters are usually quite strange. I'm actually writing a new tabletop character for the next Pathfinder campaign that I end up in, who's going to be like an author who's like... He's going to be a really shitty author who writes bad books, but is very like deluded and full of himself. But, yeah, he's going to be a magus that, like, hits people with a pen, and the way maguses work is, like, when you attack somebody with your weapon, you get to cast a spell on them as well, basically. Well, I actually like parts of that style of campaign that you're describing there. Um, I don't actually like the ones which are incredibly difficult. I don't like really, really difficult campaigns because I'm actually not a huge fan of the combat side of things. So I usually make my characters really strong so that they can just breeze through the combat so I can get to the other parts of it. So it's this weird paradox where I've got this really overpowered character, but I don't really like using it for combat because I try to avoid combat. But I do actually think that, yeah, players should be punished more for doing, like, stupid things, and the DM should, like, not cater to that, but, I mean, if the player works towards it and makes it so that they can get through the combat without really thinking about it or doing anything, then I think that that's actually viable. I think that should be rewarded. So it just depends on, like, what sort of element of it you're sort of referring to, I guess. Okay, so we got our level. I'm not too sure what I want here, as far as this goes. Yeah, I'm also not necessarily a huge fan of Monty Hall, but I'm not, like, a huge detractor of it. I think that some games it works better to have lots of items, and some that, you know, you don't give players anything, really. I've run entire games where it's like there's no items whatsoever, basically. And I've run other ones where it's like everybody gets, like, a ton of items. It just depends. Okay, I don't really know 100% what I want right now as far as, like, new things. I'm not even sure if I'm on the build where I get to use apple orchards or if they're still bugged in this version. So, if I recall correctly, they have been fixed in this one. I can't really remember. Either way, I'm not even sure if I think that's important for me, though. Still, in any event, though, like I said, we're just going to hit that level, and I'm going to call it for today. So, yeah, hopefully you guys found this one enjoyable. Like I said, this is going to be the last of Manor Lords until a major patch comes out that actually changes something that I think is, like, doing something interesting and new. Or it comes out for full release, and we get to sort of assess it on that one. Pretty sure that they're going to have, like, periodic updates, but it is a small team, so they'll probably be doing things pretty slowly. So, in any event, hope you found this one enjoyable, and see you guys all next time.